Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, and we have a new post from our guest today. Danielle Navarro is a parent of two students at Lighthouse Public Schools, which is a charter school here in San Antonio, Texas, and she's also the principal. And so her guest post shares her parent perspective and then also her perspective as a leader at Lighthouse Public Schools. So I'm really happy to get this conversation with you, Danielle. You've been a guest before, talking about Lighthouse, and I was lucky enough to go to your that graduation ceremony you went to for the your parent advocacy program and things like that. So I've been cheering for you and your work at Lighthouse, but I'm really happy to get to talk to you from the parent perspective today.
Yeah, it's definitely a different perspective, looking at it from parent instead of as a staff member.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, so can you talk about like your kids, their ages, like what grades they're in?
Yeah, I have 2 kids here, both boys. I have a 6-year-old, he's in kindergarten this year, just about to finish up kindergarten, and I have a 3-year-old who is in pre-K 3 this year. So it's his first year at Lighthouse for him. My older one, in kindergarten, he's been here since pre-K 3. So he did pre-K 3, pre-K 4, and now finishing up in kindergarten this year. So it's fun to have them here. It really is. It's something else.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and sorry, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but in your
Mhm.
post you mentioned like because Lighthouse goes all the way from pre-K 3 all the way up to 12th grade, and so that means that like kids are interacting with each other. And so, can you talk more about what that's like having like multiple grades on one campus?
Honestly, for as as a staff member, as the principal, it keeps it kind of fresh for me because I can go from talking to a high school student about their transcripts to talking to a kindergartner or a pre-K student about this picture that they drew. So it kind of keeps it, it keeps the momentum going. But there's also really sweet moments too where the older kids get to know the little ones, and so they'll say hi to them during the day. One of the really sweet things that I thought was great about having pre-K all the way through 12 is last week we took graduation pictures for our seniors, but we also took graduation pictures for our kindergartners. And one of our families has a kindergartner who's graduating and also has a senior that's graduating. So it was the sweetest thing to see the older brother helping his little sister put on her cap and gown. They took a picture together. But it was just little sweet moments like that that's really cool about being in pre-K through 12 because we get to see things like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Yeah, the big kids get to be role models for the
Mhm.
little kids. Yeah, and like you said, it's lots of different types of learning. Really foundational stuff, and then also kids playing their futures. So all that happening in one campus.
Definitely.
Yeah. So okay, so in your blog post, you talk about how like for pre-K 3, it's giving your boys that foundation kind of life skills, like coping skills and things like that, and then also preparing them so that when they get to kindergarten, they have like reading skills and some basic math skills and stuff like that. So I was wondering, can you talk about those two buckets, like the coping skills bucket and then also like the academic foundation?
Yeah, so both of my boys before they came to Lighthouse, they were in daycare. So they did have kind of like a routine. But once they got here in pre-K 3, then it was really like, well, there's more structures and more routines. Lunch is at a certain time, breakfast is at a certain time. We're going to go out to recess at a certain time. So everything is more structured. So pre-K 3, like the first semester, really gets all of them ready for just that routine. So my 3-year-old, the one that's in pre-K 3 now, he really needed that structure and that routine more so than my older one. So by the second semester, started January, he had it down. Those skills of coming in, knowing where to sit, knowing where to go, and then once they have that down, then they start working on, of course, like their letters and numbers and everything. So it's just crazy to see how at the beginning of the year he knew a little bit of things, colors and some shapes and stuff, but now he's coming home and, oh my gosh, this is a hexagon and this is a rhombus. And I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know you knew all that stuff. Um, but also teaching them just how to interact with each other. If you're upset, there's a way that you can express it. Um, and so they're not really used to that. So what also helps too is, especially with our little ones, sometimes there's a lot of things going on at home, even with my little ones. There may be something going on at home and we have our social worker here who I've had even go to and say, hey, can you talk to my little one? They're having a rough time. So even having her talk to the little ones at their level, developmentally, and help them have those coping skills of, okay, if I'm upset, what can I do? Breathing techniques and things like that. But really, it just gets them ready so that pre-K3 is like that transition period. And then pre-K4, once they're in pre-K4, like they have those skills. Now they're really ready to soak up all the academics because they have the routines and the structures and all those things in place. So by the time they're in kindergarten, they already know all the basics. All their letters, all their numbers, all those things. So they're ready to start rolling in kindergarten.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you sharing, the detail about what these benefits are from pre-K4 and pre-K3 because I think that like the pandemic kind of changed people's habits and sometimes these patterns kind of get passed down from year to year or like friends tell other friends like and I feel like because so many families kept their kids home during the pandemic for safety but then there are important benefits about being outside the home and learning these habits, learning how to cooperate with each other. It's important to highlight like, what can kids learn when they're in a high quality pre-K3 or pre-K4 environment that's getting them ready for the future. And you also talked about like the coping skills and like the benefit of having the social worker around. I'm thinking, boy, I work on coping skills. Like this is like a lifelong project, like trying to get a handle on these things.
Sorry, I think you cut out a little bit there. I didn't
Oh,
catch that last one.
okay. No, the screen froze up just a little bit. You talked about coping skills and like
There we
having
go.
access to the social worker
Yeah.
and I feel like even like for me, learning coping skills is a lifelong project. Like learning how to
Oh
get
yeah.
focused again, even if I'm anxious, or how to do work as a team instead of just working by myself. And like I feel like I need a refresher on these things. I need to go back to pre-K3 and get a refresher.
Yeah, I think it's hard for us as adults sometimes to have those coping skills. So I think it's a lot better when we teach them a lot younger to have those coping skills. So as they continue to grow, they already have those tools in their back pocket. Because we know as adults it's hard, to deal with daily stress. So for them to learn it even earlier, I mean, that's gonna do amazing things for them as they continue to grow.
Yeah, yeah, it will. Because they're not just skills that they'll need for kindergarten, it's skills they'll need all the way through their education and the
Yeah.
workplace and through life. Yeah. Um, okay, so, I wanna going back to something in your blog post I thought was really interesting and positive and, like, so since you're a principal at Lighthouse, but you talk about, like, having like the whole staff, like, and having like being purposeful about the learning environment that y'all are trying to create. So I was wondering, can you talk about that? Like if you ask your staff, like, what are we here for? What's the purpose? Like, how would they describe that?
I think one, and it comes from our superintendent, Dr. Mills, to me. And I think it's important that, when he's not here, I'm kind of living that purpose as well. Because if you ask, yeah, any staff member that's here, from, like I said, our janitorial staff to our cafeteria staff to teachers to paraprofessionals, why are we here? Why are we here? The the basic answer is kids. We're here for kids. So whatever that may be for kids, we're here for learning, but we're also here for anything else that they may need: love, resources, food, a hug. We're here for all of that because we need to meet all those basic needs before we can ever begin to educate them. So I think that's one thing that, if you ask my staff, they'll tell you we're here for kids, and they know because in my office there's always one kid coming in, and that's not because they're in trouble. It's because they want to come see me, want to come say hi to me, want to say good morning to me. um, it's just there's always somebody in my office. Hi miss, how are you doing? Can I sit here and talk to you for a little bit? um, so I think that they know it's all about creating that environment where kids feel welcome, and they know that they have, if their home life isn't the best, they can come here and they can feel like they have a home, they have someone they can talk to, they can have a safe place, they have someone that's rooting for them and cheering for them.
Yeah, well, yeah. Salute to Dr. Mills. He sets a great tone and culture for the school, and y'all bring it to life. And I think one thing I really admire about Lighthouse is trying to be as welcoming as possible to all kids, no matter what kind of environment they're coming from. So if they're being raised by grandparents, or they're in foster care, or maybe they don't have a stable living arrangement, like those kids need a great education too. And by being there for kids, it means that you want to recognize all the needs that they have and try to serve that as best you can.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I have some that come in here. I just need to talk. Okay, give him a hug. Are you ready to go back to class? Yeah, I'm ready now. I'm ready to go back now. So it's just those little things. Um, I think that makes us different because everybody knows their name when those kids come in the morning, especially the ones that we know have a rough time in the morning, or they have a rough time going home. All the kids, all the teachers know their name. The cafeteria workers when they're coming in. Oh, good morning. Um, Lower grade teachers, whoever that's coming in, they know their name, so they always know that they feel welcome.
Yeah, yeah. You want it to be feel like a safe environment for them. Yeah.
Definitely.
So are there any more stories that you can share, like maybe like beyond like what's in the post, about just to kind of, I feel like what's so great about getting to have these conversations is to describe to people what the culture is like at the school. Because like it's one thing to like go to the website. It's a great website. It has a lot of information about the academic opportunities, and like the dual credit for the high school kids and stuff like that. But I think sometimes it's the culture and like that feeling of belonging, the sense of community that makes people want to stay.
I think just seeing, like I said, all the kind of grades come together for like different things. So a couple months ago, my son's kindergarten class, they were finishing up a unit on kings and queens. So they put on, they worked for a while too, on a play for Cinderella. So, the kindergartners, they were going to act it out. They didn't really have lines, but they were acting it out while their teacher narrated it. But the third and fourth graders came together and they helped put the set together. They helped decorate. Student council came out the day of the performance and they had concessions. So it was just really, and so then some of the third and fourth graders, of course, they wanted to come see the play too, because they were like, well, I helped put stuff together. I want to see the kids do it. So it was really cute to see because the kindergartners are up there, but then they have the support of high school student council, middle school student council. There's some third and fourth graders in the crowd because they want to see the play. So that was really cool to see. I got to see my son up there, so that was fun. And it came together really very well. So that was something fun that they got to do. The other thing is we were here for the day of the eclipse. So that was another fun thing, is everybody went outside, all from pre-K all the way to our high schoolers. So got to see, all their reactions at the same time when the sun finally we were able to see it. And that was just a fun thing. Everybody was outside sitting down. We had given out snacks and juices. So everybody had snacks and juice, sun chips, Capri Suns, little play on words. But it was just nice to see everybody was outside with their teachers and laughing, having fun. Just things like that where they're learning. They don't know that they're learning, but they're also just enjoying the community of their friends and other classmates.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That it doesn't happen by accident. It takes time to build that. And I know that Lighthouse has been growing, like the number of students has been growing, the grade levels have been growing. And so like to keep adding more kids and then have them like, be teaming up together. Like that's a great story about the Cinderella play, because like
Yeah.
it's across ages and they're all having fun together and they all feel pride about what they're making.
Yeah, it was great to see because they weren't even, they weren't even in it, but they came to support to see the little ones do it, and they loved it.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. So, well, are there oh, okay, so I can't let it go by without, I know that like you've done like the Advocacy Leadership Institute with Texas Public Charter Schools Association. So I always want to get the chance to give you a platform to speak about like, like why is it important? Like Lighthouse is a public charter school, right? So y'all could do things that maybe a traditional public school can't do. And it's close to my heart, like, why we should have lots of different school models so that lots of different schools can exist and families can find the place where they belong and where their kids belong. So, but I guess how would you describe like why it's important to be a charter school advocate?
I think when I was going through the program, it's important because even as a staff member in a charter school, sometimes we work for a charter school, but we don't really understand all the things that come with it. We don't get the same kind of funding or things that a traditional ISD may get. We have to find our funding elsewhere. I also think it's important, though, that parents become advocates and educated about it. So I had met with Shri. She works for Texas Public Charter School Association. And I was like, well, we have all these things for teachers and we have some things for students. Can we get something for parents? So I know she was like, well, I need to look into that because I think it's really important that our parents know about charters, because they're the ones that, they're choosing to send their children here. I choose to send my children to a charter school. So as a parent, I'm a staff member, but as a parent, I know, what charter schools can do, what they can't do, and how, why it's important for them to exist. So I think a lot more of our parents, they send their children to charter schools for a reason, because things weren't working. Their children weren't flourishing. They wanted, something different. They wanted something where their child's needs could be met. So I think it's really important for them to know exactly, how charters are funded, what charters do, and then how to help advocate in the form of, block walking or talking to your representatives, things like that, in order to have more representation for charter schools.
Yeah, so I put up on the screen txcharterschools.org. That's Texas Public Charter Schools Association. So Danielle went through the Advocacy Leadership Institute, and she mentioned Shri, who manages that for TPCSA. And you and I are both big Shri fans, so shout out to to Shri. So and then you made some really good points, like that. I think sometimes like a teacher will come to work at a charter school because like, hey, here's this job opportunity and the learning model is really interesting. I want to be able to connect with kids and have these wraparound services, and or like a family will come and say, hey, I really like the style of learning here, but then not asking the questions about like, well, what does it mean that it's a charter school? And like you said, it affects the funding, it affects the kind of the oversight of the school. And and so then TPCSA can be a great resource to understand that better, and then we can all have conversations about it and make more families aware of it, because the reason why it's important to understand it and speak up about it is we want charter schools to keep operating. We want them to get adequate funding, and because these innovative learning models are really important, because like not every school is going to work, like one school is not going to work for all kids. So then and that's what we try to do, is match up, and explain about schools so families can research and go, oh, Lighthouse, well, that's really exciting. I think my kid might be happy there. And then there we go. And then and just match up the families with the kids. But we need to speak up, and whether, like you said, block walking or communicating with elected officials, like know who your elected officials are. And you don't have to be an expert on charter school law. You just need an expert on your own story, like like you are today, Danielle. Like talk about what it's like for your kids in pre-K3 and kindergarten, and what they're learning, why that learning environment is important, and those stories will carry a long way and influence our elected officials.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just important to get parents' voices out there as well. It's better for them to hear from parents than it is just teachers or staff members.
Yeah, because well, like you said about your staff, it's about the kids. It's right. It's like that's really the bottom line. It's like, are kids learning? Are they safe? Are they happy? Are they thriving? And we want more kids to be experiencing that in their education, and not feeling left out, not feeling like they're left behind, or they're not heard, or they're not safe.
Yeah, we want that for all kids. So
yeah. Oh, good. Okay. Well, I feel like am I skipping over anything, or was there anything in the blog post that we haven't touched on yet that you wanted to share about?
I'm trying to think. I think we kind of went over it. Like I said, that pre-K through 12, it's a lot. It's a lot of grades. And I think it can be daunting to some people to see like, oh, my pre-K kids are here, and over there's a 12th graders. That's, a huge gap. But I think, like I said, the community has built to where the older ones know the little ones. We even have some of our older high school students who work closely with our teachers, and they actually work in the after school care program. So we have 2 high school students, that they work in the after school care program. So they get to know the kids, they get to know them. And so then they'll see them in the hallway, say hi to them. I just think it's it can be kind of scary at first when you're like, oh, there's really big ones and really little ones. But you see them walking with them to class, helping them go to, where they need to be. And it's very sweet to see that these big, tough, high school kids kind of are these little puddles when it comes to these little kids.
Yeah, that's really sweet. Well, and I see like there's activities like you talked about festivals and like the Eclipse event, like that sounded great. And then and like art projects, like all kids, all grades participate in art, right? Like so
Mhm.
they can all be like snapping the colors onto the fence, right, to
Oh
make
yeah,
the fence mural, right?
definitely. And they love that. So
Yeah, yeah. So it's just being thoughtful about activities that can include as many ages as possible so they can build bonds across the grade levels.
of course, because like the eclipse, like they can all see the eclipse. We can take them all out there and they all had fun. The little ones were screaming crazy, even the high schoolers were amazed. So, it doesn't matter the age. They're all out there and they all loved it.
Yeah, yeah. No, they'll remember that for a long time. Okay. Well, I want to make sure that we help point people to find out more about Lighthouse. So I just want to mention, so in the description of the video, that has a link to Danielle's guest blog post about her parent and leader experience. And then that also has links to our enrollment guide blog post about Lighthouse. But also, as I mentioned earlier, Lighthouse has a great website. It has a lot of detail about the school model and how to contact the school. And in fact, you guys have an event on Saturday, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. So Saturday we will be here, hoping for good weather. But we are going to have kind of like a pre-K kinder, not necessarily just tailored to that, but pre-K kinder roundup. But if anyone's looking to enroll, wants to take a tour, we're going to have all of our staff's going to be here. Teachers will be here. Classrooms will be open for parents to see. We'll have people up front helping to if anybody wants to enroll day of. We'll have people there. We'll all be here. We'll have a couple fun things for families, bounce houses, food trucks, face painting. So it'll just be a fun day where they can go around and like really look at the school, look at classrooms, talk to teachers, get information about different programs that we have. Food bank, high school students. McMurray will be here, which is our dual credit partner. So just a lot of fun little things for them to come and see and decide if Lighthouse is the right place for them.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, and so that's great that this Saturday on May 3rd, there's a special event, but really anytime. I know, I mean, you guys have a very welcoming culture. So, folks can reach out through the website or call the phone number. And then that's a great way to set up the tour because you really want to like see the campus and then, envision like, your kids going there. So,
Oh yeah. And like I said, classrooms will be open too. Usually during tours, it's hard to go in the classrooms because there's kids in there. Don't want to disrupt their learning. But since there's not going to be no one here on Saturday, classrooms will be open to see so they can actually walk in the classroom and get that, experience of being in the class. What is it like? What does it look like sitting in here? So it'll be fun.
yeah. Oh, and pre-K3 kids are so cute. My kids are getting big now. I have an 8th grader and an 11th grader, and they're both taller than me. So when I get to be around like the littles, like the pre-K3s, it's like, wait, I'm a puddle.
It's fun. Like I said, I can go from talking to a 12th grader, a middle schooler, and then I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go to pre-K now and go get some hugs. I'll be back.
That sounds so sweet. Okay. Well, Danielle, thank you so much for the guest blog post. Thank you for joining me on Charter Moms Chats, and I hope that you guys have a great event on Saturday with the pre-K kinder roundup.
Thank you. We hope to see you there.
All right. Take care.